Beer Geeks. I'm Chris Cohen.
I'm Scott Fielder.
We are advanced Cicerones and beer scholars, and we are here with another style comparison, two classic styles. We've got the International Pale Lager, Asahi Super Dry, versus Reissdorf Kolsch. Kolsch is fermented with an ale yeast, but then it's lagered, so it is a pretty clean, pale, lagered beer.
Yep, should have a good sense of attenuation.
Yeah,
things of that. So I mean, not going to be the easiest side by side.
No,
not by a long shot.
Two very pale, light beers. The BJCP says that Kölsch can be mistaken for things like cream ale or even German pilsners. Obviously, there's some variation between different commercial examples. These are the ones we've got.
Right.
So let's see what's going on here. Which one are you sniffing?
Kölsch.
Got the Kölsch going first.
Definitely got a touch of the. It's not like a super. It's almost just like a perfectly ripe kind of red apple, and not like a. I would say not one of the. I'm trying to think of what some of the apple varieties would be that aren't as tart. Mm-hmm. Maybe something like that. Not like kind of like a tart green apple or like
Galena?
Maybe, I don't know, is Red Delicious tart? I can't remember.
Yeah. I don't eat a lot of apples, it turns out.
Yeah. So.
This is tough.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. This is not super characterful. Kölsch has some pretty good, a little bit of variance in between each of the different commercial examples, and we're lucky enough to be able to get things like Reissdorf or Fra or Gaffel. Kölsch would be the other one. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, Reissdorf and Fra are a little bit more kind of apple forward on the nose, but then for me, I've had Gaffel on draft, and it was like drinking apple juice almost. It was the apple ester was so strong, but not on the nose.
And so,
weirdly enough,
generally speaking, you would look for that as a difference.
That would be the main
which I'm experiencing
difference
here. Yeah, is that ale yeast is going to produce a more estery characteristic, fruity characteristics than. Right. The lager yeast used to ferment the International Pale Lager. Right. And that's definitely what I'm getting here. That's the big difference. The other thing I'd say is with the International Pale Lager, at least this commercial example, I'm getting some kind of hop aromatics that are sort of reminding me of noble hops, a little floral, a little perfumey.
Right.
Perfumey. These aren't great descriptors, right? These aren't very specific, but
sometimes you just can't put
they're very subtle,
a name to it.
Very subtle beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually very tough.
Yeah. Yeah, this has a little bit more. The International Pale is, it's got probably a little bit higher of carbonation, plus probably a little bit similar-ish in maybe the IBU range, but I think the perceived bitterness is a little bit higher on the Super Dry.
Less body, a little more bitter, finishes a little more crisp than the Kölsch.
Yeah, a little bit of a rounded smoothness to the finish in the Kölsch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Both of these are all malt. A lot of light lagers, if you're talking like American light lagers, are going to be like a ton of rice and corn in them.
Right.
So they don't have this malted barley flavor. But really, both of these have that.
Yeah, I feel like there's a small amount of rice in Super Dry. I can't remember if they call it a rice lager or not. But when we were doing this comparison with American light lager, it was very different. I mean, it's not that high. It was clearly not as high of an adjunct percentage in the malt bill. Mm-hmm. So even if there is some in there, I don't think it's enough where I would use that as like this is a clear difference between the two. That's a little too close.
Yeah, no, I'm getting a bready malt character from both of these. So yeah, this is one of the tougher ones we've done. And
then a touch of sulfur too for me on Kölsch.
On the Kölsch.
Okay. Yeah, just a touch. It's already gone. I was getting it when we were kind of starting, and that's a pretty when you're getting into German lager yeast and lagering, and that's a pretty traditional, just kind of to have that little kiss right at the beginning that kind of quickly fades away.
Yep, it's exactly a highly volatile compound. It kind of whiffs right off.
Yeah, and you'll get used to it right away, even if it's one of those.
If you're tasting a bunch of sulfur after you've had a few sips, after you poured it and had a few sips, then that's bad.
You're in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, so I'd say those are kind of
Fruitiness.
those are kind of the big differences. The apple ester that you're going to get in Kölsch, maybe the level of carbonation and kind of that either bite or impression of bitterness in International Pale.
Yeah.
And then if you're getting a touch of sulfur, you're probably in Germany.
Yeah, as the Kölsch warms up, it's getting even more and more fruity. I'm getting like a big pear.
Yes.
Big pear jumping out at me.
That's great.
So, yeah, that's a tough one. That's one of the
Tough one,
tougher ones.
but with practice, I think one that you can nail.
Yeah.
Cheers.